Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today for It Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com and over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, makes great gifts year-round. Amazon.com, check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also T-shirts, pop sockets, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. Also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM and PayPal and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with a terrific gentleman who was a world-class software engineer from MIT and helped create the modern internet during his time in graduate school at MIT. After leaving the school to pursue a technology startup, he experienced a staggering physical challenge and years of chronic pain, failed treatments, led doctors to put him on permanent disability. With his right arm paralyzed after experimental surgery, he wanted to become a healer and experienced his first miracle when his arm was instantly and permanently healed. And of course, he's a creator of Awakening Dynamic System, which consists of advanced conscious technologies for subconscious clearing, instant healing, manifestation, seeing energy in auroras, going from awakening to enlightenment. He's also an award-winning author and Amazon #1 best-selling co-author and the inventor of the patent-pending Formula for Miracles technology. And his great passions are teaching, healing, and helping others to experience their own genuine spiritual awakening. He's got a book called The Formula for Miracles, where science reveals the secret of the spirit, Part 2, the experience. We'll talk more about that. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Las Vegas, the former engineer turned healer and the also author of the book, The Formula for Miracles, where science reveals the secret of the spirit, Part 2, the experience. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Brent Michael Phillips. Brent, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. This is great.
Well, it's great to have you on board as well, too, that you're a former engineer. You graduated from MIT, you turned healer, and you talked about how seemingly miraculous energy healed in validating by science. And you are a web and video game developing pioneer before the .com era, and also an MIT graduate. And we also talked earlier as well too about one of your games as well too. A new book talks of the healing trilogy and maintains there's no miracle in the sense of impossibility, and more as well too. And before we get started, maybe just talk about one of the first games that you developed as well.
Sure. The first game I ever wrote was actually a spoof. You may remember the Infocom games, especially Zork was really popular back in the
I remember
in the
Zork,
80s.
yes.
So my very first game I wrote when I was 13 years old in 7th grade, that my parents got an IBM PC and I taught myself to program, and I wrote a complete spoof of Zork called Pork. So that was actually my very first video game.
Oh my gosh, that is something. And how about some other video games you put out the market as well that we might be aware of?
Sure. The best known would be Underlight, which in today's buzzwords, it was really the world's first metaverse. It was the first persistent state, first person 3D real-time game designed as a single virtual world. And unfortunately, I was at least 10 years ahead of my time, because that released in the first public release was in 1997, and the world just wasn't ready for it.
Mhm.
So it struggled commercially. It became, as they call, a cult classic. So there was a small but very dedicated player base, but it ran for over 10 years. And it's generally seen as the first step towards games like today, like World of Warcraft. And so, it was cool to be part of it, though I kind of wish I had been 10 years later, because I would have made a lot more money.
And of course, if Zuckerberg found out that the game you did was like a metaverse, I'm sure he would have let you in as well. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
mhm. And of course,
Uh-huh.
and of course, that you've also been a video game producer turned healer as well too. And let's go back more about how you first got started. Besides the games, you're talking as well too. Going to the way back. Getting into computers, then getting
Sure.
into healing.
Well, I always loved computers growing up. I loved the early video games. I loved all the nerd stuff, right? I'm just this huge nerd. I love Star Wars, Star Trek, Dungeons and Dragons, video games, all that stuff. When I was at MIT in the 80s, I discovered the internet. And I was like, wow, this is amazing, right? And when I was in graduate school at MIT, I was very fortunate to do some work as part of the World Wide Web Consortium.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the cool things we did was in 1994, me and a couple of my lab mates sent the first ever live audio and video over the web. So we were doing some really cutting edge things. And then I left MIT to go find my fortune because I figured, well, hey, I'm one of the world's top network engineers. The internet boom is just starting. I'll move to California, recruit my best friend to start a web and video game company, and we'll make millions and millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And we did pretty well at first. The very first website I ever created in my life was the website for the launch of the Sony PlayStation in the summer of
Really?
1995.
Wow.
Yep, that was my first website. So we did the website for a lot of divisions of Sony. We did the website for Disneyland. We did the website for Nissan Motors. And then we started the video game company because there were so many limitations on the web at that time. And I knew we could do better. And we created what really was a revolutionary game in Underlight. No one had done anything like it. It
Mm-hmm.
was the first real metaverse. But because the market wasn't really ready for it, it struggled. And we also struggled because behind the scenes, I was pushing myself way too hard because I wanted to be successful more than anything. I was willing to work as hard as it took. So I was at my desk coding sometimes 60, 70, even 80 hours a week. And I could only keep this up for a couple of years and then my health collapsed. I started having pain, and long story short, it got so bad that I had to move in with my parents because some days I even needed help just doing things like getting dressed or cutting my food. And I started through physical therapy, which didn't help me. And again, to make a long story very short, in 1998, after 3 years of physical therapy, I finally got to see the head doctor at Kerlan Jobe. And Kerlan Jobe is the big top physical therapy clinic in California. So if you're an Olympian or a professional athlete, that's where you go. That's where all the best doctors and therapists are. And I finally got to see the head doctor, and I was so excited. I thought, hey, this guy will know what to do, right? He'll know how to cure me. And long story short, I walked in and he's looking at my medical records, and he just kind of scratches his chin and goes, well, I'm sorry, son. There's nothing I or any doctor can do to help you. You're always going to have a lot of pain and you're never going to be able to work again. And I was stunned because I thought he was going to help me get better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he just kicked me out. And his secretary said, well, Mr. Phillips, one, please don't come back. We've canceled all your upcoming appointments because we can't be wasting our resources on impossible cases. And secondly, she said the doctor is going to do you a favor and put you on permanent disability now so you can get used to it. And actually asked me if there was someone that would take care of me until I died. And at the time, I was 27 years old.
Wow.
Yep. And so it was devastating. And when I told my business partner and best friend about it, I figured he'd be all, hey, Brent, it's a setback, but we'll get through this together, right? Nope. When he found out about this, he immediately fired me from the company that I had founded and turned around and sold it behind my back for millions of dollars. And I got nothing but a kick in the ass. And so there was lawsuits, a lot of bad feeling, but I was in a really dark place. My first, as they call it, dark night of the soul. I was broke. I was living with my parents. I had terrible chronic pain. I couldn't even drive more than 10 minutes at a time because holding a steering wheel was too painful. I had been kicked out of the medical system, told there was no chance of recovery, and basically sent home to die at 27. And I was really depressed. I started drinking a lot, using drugs. I was suicidal. But I was lucky that I got a friend to turn me on to positive thinking and alternative medicine.
Hmm.
And I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe there's some hope here, right? So I hit that hard. And for the next over 5 years, I was basically a full-time patient, running around doing all this alternative treatment, trying to get better. I mean, I went to acupuncturist and herbologist. I did cleanses, chiropractic, osteopaths. I went to Reiki and pranic healers. I did all these crazy dilates. I had all these machines, right? And it was so frustrating because I wasn't getting better. I was getting worse. And so my health, my pain was getting worse and worse. And then I had an experimental surgery that was supposed to cure me, right? And I woke up from the surgery and my right arm was paralyzed.
Ooh.
I couldn't move my right arm at all. And that was a really big problem, right? Now I really couldn't drive. I couldn't even take care of myself. Couldn't even do basic things. I couldn't brush my teeth. And that was really the worst of the worst. I was very lucky. I was only there for about 6 months because I met this crazy healer lady named Terry. And she had found this energy healing system that had helped save her life when she had a major health crisis. And she was doing it. And she kept telling me to try it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It's not going to work. I've done this stuff before. You know, it's a bunch of nonsense. And I finally booked a session with her. And long story short, she asked me a lot of questions about what had happened in my childhood and my belief in God, what had happened with my best friend and all the money I'd lost and all the things that had happened. And she was doing this subconscious block clearing thing the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, to me, it seemed a little kooky.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I got nothing else to do but sit at home and watch Law and Order reruns on TNT, right? So I might as well try this. So, and at the end of the hour, she's like, okay, dear, we're going to fix your arm now. And I'm like, sure, lady, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there just like looking out the window, thinking about what I want to pick up on the way home for lunch. And she kind of goes into this trance and her eyes close. And it looks like she was concentrating on something. And about a minute later, it was the craziest thing. I heard this loud pop in my elbow. It was like, kaboom, like a little firecracker went off. And she heard it too, because I was like, whoa, what was that? And I remember she opened her eyes. She's like, okay, dear, try your arm now. And I did. And I was like, oh my God, I could move my arm again.
Wow.
It was just like the surgery had never happened. And so
Huh.
that was the day this software engineer and hardcore skeptic became someone who was very open to energy healing, the power of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. And what was that moment again that you heard this pop and everything? What was
Yeah.
it? What was the name of that procedure again, or the name of that?
It was
that
just a
action?
healing. Her name was Terry. She passed away about 10 years ago. And so I don't want the listeners to be running off to search her. You know, good luck. If you want to book a session with her, you're going to need a medium, right? Hold a seance. She's not in her body anymore, but she taught me the basics of energy healing.
Hmm.
She showed me how to check people for subconscious blocks, how to clear the blocks, how to perform healings on them, do intuitive readings, a whole bunch of cool stuff. And, you know, I learned everything she had to teach. And, you know, I went out just like her and built a business because I wanted to share this with the world. I'm like, there's a lot of people in a lot of pain, dealing with a lot of darkness, a lot of difficult situations.
Hmm.
And, you know, I had been in hell for about 5 years trying to find a solution.
Hmm.
And it was there the whole time. But,
Wow.
you know, I had gotten so jaded and skeptical by trying all these things that didn't work. I was ready to give up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad I gave it a shot. It totally changed the direction of my life.
Mm-hmm. And what's the advice you give to anybody who's desperate for healing? And what was the one advice you would go to say to everybody right now at this time?
What I would say is the most damaging thing to all of us is all the things we think we know. So if you think that you're always going to be in pain, or you'll never be able to find success, or find love, or make $1 million, or whatever your goal is, just because you haven't gotten there doesn't mean you won't. And the biggest thing holding you back is all the things you think you know. And if
Mm-hmm.
we're willing to let those go, that creates the conditions where miracles can show up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go see Terry for like 3 months because I was convinced it wouldn't work. And it was only my Aunt Lauren that kept nagging me that convinced me to do it. She even offered to pay for my first session. She's like, Brent, please go. I'll even pay for it. And I was like, all right. And for everyone out there, you never know when your miracle is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. It could be tonight. It could be tomorrow. It could be next week. And what I tell my students is, it's not a matter of whether or not you can get to your goal, to find your healing, to find your purpose, to raise your consciousness, even to become enlightened. The question is, are you going to give up before you get there?
Mm-hmm. That
So keep at it.
Yeah, certainly will too. And we'll talk about the formula for miracles as well too in just 1 minute. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. It's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@SonicWebStudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and enjoyed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Molson-Zia. Available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, on over 30 podcast platforms. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. For great books, merchandise, and more, Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Also support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you give generously today. We're here with the very multi-talented former engineer turned healer, and talks about how seemingly miraculous energy healing is validated by science on the Mike Wagner Show. He's got a book called The Formula for Miracles, where science reveals the secret of the spirit, part 2, the experience. But let's talk about the Formula of Miracles for a minute, and tell us more about the Formula of Miracles,
Sure.
coding and everything else.
It's kind of funny how I learned this stuff, because when I first started learning energy healing, I thought it would be easy, at least compared to MIT. I figured, well, heck, I had straight A's in the most difficult major at the most competitive university on the planet. How hard could it be to learn to be a healer? Well, I was so wrong. I was terrible at it. Why is that? It's simple. I was so stuck in my head. I had no ability to feel what was going on in my body. And so the traditional route of learning healing wasn't working for me. So I took a different path. I took an engineering view, and I said, I'm going to reverse engineer what all these masters are doing. And that's what I did, starting with Terry, later my mentor, Carl, and a lot of other teachers. I went around and spent a lot of time, a lot of money working with some amazing people. And here's what I found. There are really some incredible people out there that can do some really amazing things. But for nearly all of them, it's some kind of gift or natural talent they have. Very few understand what they're doing or how it works. And that's where I came in. It took me a lot longer than I thought. It took me over 10 years. But I put together little by little, figured out what the masters were doing. That there is a technology to consciousness. There is a technology to miracles. And so, for example, if you want to build an airplane, there's a technology to it, isn't there? Regarding lift and drag and density and all these things you have to get right. If you understand the rules, you can build an airplane that flies. Healings are no different. There's certain things you have to have in place. You need to access a theta brain state when you're awake. You need to prepare and clear the subconscious. You need to learn how to get out of the ego. There's just a bunch of boxes that have to be checked. And what the Formula for Miracles is, it's a simple set of processes that everybody can learn in a matter of hours to start using and getting results in their life. Because it took me 7 years to get certified as a master healer. I've had some of my students do it as fast as 3 months.
Wow.
Why? We evolved the technology. That I took all this stuff and ran it through what I call my new age fluff filter, took out all the fluff and feel good and nonsense, and what's left is what really works. And that's what I really want to share with people. I want to show them how this works. I want people to learn that being a healer is actually pretty easy.
Hmm.
Everybody can learn to do these things in a matter of hours. It'll take you 100 times longer to learn to play guitar than it will to become a master healer.
Hmm.
And it's so easy and so fast. I really don't know why everybody isn't doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I go, why isn't everybody wanting to do this? I don't get that.
Mm-hmm. And what is the reason behind it, especially the biggest obstacle holding people back from experiencing better healing and everything?
Yeah.
What is they hold back on it?
There's a lot of things. The biggest one I mentioned earlier, we think we know so much. We decide out of the gate, oh, that can't work. That can't be real. It must be a scam. Okay. If I had done that and thought Terra was a scam, I'd probably be dead by suicide by now. I don't think I'd even be on the planet. Instead, I got an incredible new life. So the biggest one is we have to get past all these things we think we know. You got to be willing to try it, give it a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Second is subconscious blocks. A lot of us are chock full of subconscious blocks. And if you've struggled over and over and you're just not finding your success, that's probably a big reason why. That you got to learn how to get into the subconscious and make those changes. There's other pieces. You need to learn how to get out of the ego. You need to learn how to not deplete yourself when you're doing these things, how to tap into the universe's energy. And this is exactly what I want to show people. There's just a simple checklist. You got to do this, 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 and this. And then you're in a place where you can start to create miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy. And the biggest challenge people have learning it is getting past that it's so easy. I'll teach them and they're like, really, that's it? I'm like, yeah, that's it. That when people that come to my trainings within 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, I'll have them performing instant healings.
Mm.
And that's all it takes.
And do you mind sharing some of the spiritual experiences you've had or others have had?
Sure, absolutely. There's typically when I do my trainings, we'll have a 25% miracle rate on the first day. So it's not everyone, right? I want to tell the truth. This is not a magic wand that gives you everything you want overnight, right? There is no such thing. Get over it. But once you can get past that, people see incredible things happen. I've seen people heal instantly from cancer a whole bunch of times. I've had clients with HIV that goes undetectable. I've seen broken bones heal overnight. People that have struggled with addiction to things like cigarettes, cocaine, alcohol, are sometimes able to just walk away, sometimes without even any withdrawal symptoms. And it's really incredible that, especially in the more advanced work, when I teach people how to work with the quantum field, that's when you'll start to see huge success in terms of money and career.
Wow.
That when I learned the quantum field work, I was able to more than triple my income. It took me about a year and a half, right? So it wasn't overnight. That it's just a matter of learning to get the consciousness back into your body and your mind. That it's like a tube of toothpaste. Most of us have squeezed all the toothpaste out of the tube. And we all know how frustrating it is when there's no toothpaste left and you're squeezing the crap out of it, trying to just get a little bit on your brush, right? And you just squeeze harder and harder. And that's what most people, that's what it's like for money with us. We keep squeezing harder and harder and there's never enough. And there's a way to refill your body and mind with consciousness. There's a way to get the toothpaste back in the tube. And once you get that, then money and career success is a lot easier. I'm not going to say it's easy, right? Again, there's no magic wand that does it all for you, but it puts you in a place where you can succeed, where you can take your talents and your gifts out into the world, and the things will fall into place for you. As an example, this is a little thing, but it's an example of what happens when you do this work. It was the first time I traveled with my late mentor, Carl. We had shared a cab to LAX going to a retreat together. And we got into line at the airport and the security line was like 1,000 people long, right? It was crazy. It was like all the way down into the next terminal. And I saw it and I'm like, oh God, we're going to miss our flight right down the rabbit hole, right? And Carl said, don't worry, Brent, I think something will come up. And about 3 minutes later, a lady in TSE uniform walked up to him and said, excuse me, sir, can I take you and your party through the first class check-in? And
wow,
it was amazing. And so we skipped the line. 2 minutes later, we're on the other side. And I asked him, I'm like, Carl, how do you know her? That was awesome. He goes, oh no, Brent, I don't know her. Never seen her before in my life. But things like that happen to me all the time. So this is what happens when you're willing to do the work, when you're willing to learn the technology and apply it and develop your skill. Life becomes this series of little coincidences. Things click into place.
Mm-hmm.
Happen to be at the right place at the right time with the right thing. And I see so many people out there that are struggling and they don't realize what's wrong, right? They look at themselves, their education, their background, and they go, why am I not being successful? Well, there's an answer, but it's a spiritual answer.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is it has a spiritual solution. You can learn how to get the consciousness back in your body. You can learn how to clear the subconscious blocks. And once you've done that, life isn't perfect or easy, but it's a lot easier. It's not such a struggle. It's not running on the treadmill, right? And that's where most of us are. We're running faster and faster and faster just to stay in the same place. I want to get people away off the treadmill, show you a way to really change your life from the inside out.
Mm-hmm. And of course, another question that people have is that what's the difference between the spirituality and metaphysics?
That's a great question. And a lot of people don't see a difference, but there's an important difference. Metaphysics would be learning to use non-physical processes. So energy healing, clearing subconscious blocks, developing intuition. Those are all important metaphysical techniques. And part of what I teach is metaphysics because you need to know these things, right? And it's very easy with the formula. It's literally just step by step, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're done. The spirituality is something that's much harder to find. That unfortunately, most of the new age material out there with the healers and the channels and law of attraction and all that, there's nothing spiritual about it. It's all about ego. If we look at The Secret, The Secret tells you, oh, make a vision board and you can get money for free. That's nonsense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's all about catering to the ego. Spirituality is about going past that, asking, what am I? What does this mean? What is consciousness? Where does it come from? How does it work? And this is how we make some of the big breakthroughs. And what I want to offer everybody is both. I'm going to give you some great metaphysical processes you can start using within a few hours to make changes to your life. But I also want to start you on a truly spiritual path, because that's the only way we can get past the ego mind and all its reactions and judgments. And it's the only way to achieve awakening to higher consciousness. And, again, it is a process. It's not necessarily easy, but the rewards are so great that one of my teachers once said, he said, if you were to offer me $1 billion in cash to lose my grounding in spirituality, I would laugh at you and say no. And I thought it was a come on. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to this guy's class. And I went and I'm like, oh my God, he was not kidding. That the peace, the serenity, the support you feel when you achieve that inner awakening is worth more than $1 billion. And if you offered me $1 billion to forget everything I'd learned, I'd laugh at you and go, no way. And even though I admit I am not a billionaire, right? A billionaire.
I mean, who is these days?
Yeah, right. I would love to have $1 billion, right? I wouldn't have to worry about paying for, my kid's school or, retirement or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead, I have this great faith in myself and the world that I don't need necessarily to have all the money. I'd rather have the spiritual opening inside. It really is more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for the parents out there. Oh my gosh, my son was born just before I started my own awakening process. And I don't know how the parents out there do it from ego. It must be so stressful, so difficult. That I'm like, wow, why would you not want to do this? It makes your life so much better.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it makes me think about computers as well, too, that computers are supposed to make lives easier as well, too. And of course, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But then the computers, how can it lead us to better understanding of the energy healing and higher consciousness, thanks to the computer?
Yeah, you make great points. And I want to call out that back when I was at MIT working on the internet back in the 80s and early 90s, we really thought it was going to make the world a better place. We really did.
Mm-hmm.
And look what's happened with all the stuff going on with Facebook and Google and YouTube and the censorship and the misinformation. It's causing enormous harm. It's making people depressed. People are committing suicide because they're so depressed that their life isn't good enough compared to their favorite YouTuber. We never imagined that. And here's why this is important. Tools and technology are only as valuable as the consciousness using them. So you give a powerful tool to people of low consciousness, they will cause incredible harm. You give that same tool to a person of high consciousness, it can make a huge positive difference in the world.
Mm.
So I want people to know that advancing technology is not necessarily going to save us. It's only going to cause more harm unless we can get the consciousness in place, because higher consciousness will always triumph. And in terms of learning to work with your life, it's actually pretty simple. So many people are struggling and suffering, right? For so many different reasons: addictions, chronic illness, poverty, unemployment. I mean, their family, we go on and on. And one of the reasons we're all struggling so much is simple. We're living in a totally backwards manner. We're doing everything wrong. And so, Mike, you may remember back in the 90s, if you were on the internet then, there was a blonde joke that circulated that goes something like this: how do you know a blonde has been using your computer?
Oh, whiteout. Yes, I remember
There you go. You remember that one, huh? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. In fact, I even had one of those white computers as well, too, with a
Yep.
big CRT screen. And of course,
Sure.
you got the dial up
Yeah.
like that. He goes, are you done with the phone yet?
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
big one.
Yeah. So the joke was, how do you know a blonde is being using your computer? Well, there's whiteout and black marker on your monitor. And it's funny because we know it doesn't work that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your computer isn't working right, drawing on the monitor isn't going to help.
Right.
That's
Yes.
exactly how we've been trained to live our lives. That all of us, in our struggle to make money, to find love, to be happy, we're basically drawing on the monitor. And it's just a giant waste of effort. And instead, how do you fix your computer? You change the code, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to put in new software. And that's what I show people how to do. That for all of us, your life is like a computer. Your
Mm-hmm.
body is the hardware, your subconscious mind is the software. And you have a program in your subconscious that controls every aspect of your life. It determines how much money you make. It determines your physical health, your emotional health, how happy you are, how much purpose you feel. Everything is literally coded inside. What I want to show people is how to stop drawing on the monitor, how to change your code from the inside out for success in life. That I saw an article bashing millennials, saying that they're never going to be able to buy their own homes or become millionaires because they spend too much money on avocado toast and fancy coffee. Well, you can skip your avocado toast and fancy coffee, but I don't think that's going to make you a millionaire, right?
No, it doesn't.
That's drawing on the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you have to reach inside of yourself and tell yourself the truth about your life. And that's what the Formula for Miracles is designed to do, to walk you through a simple step-by-step process. It starts with simple stuff, learning to check yourself with subconscious blocks, doing clearings on blocks, healings, things like that. And then you build to the more advanced skills, including spiritual awakening and re-embodiment. You put it all together, it's an unstoppable combination.
Mm-hmm.
And is my life perfect in every way? No, of course not. I'm here to tell the truth. There will be struggles and setbacks, but with this knowledge and these tools, you'll be ready for it. That whatever life throws at you, if you have the spiritual technology in place, you'll be able to handle it and thrive. And it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, your age, gender, color, wealth, none of that matters. We all have this incredible power inside of us. And it's my mission to come on shows like this and let people know, hey, there is a way to do better. Yes, the self-improvement world is full of lots and con artists and scammers, but we're not all that way. I'm here to tell the truth. And I want your audience to know, I don't expect you to believe anything I say just because you heard it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to take that as an invitation to have your own experience, to see for yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember back in high school, I used to hate heavy metal. Then I had my best friend make me sit down and listen to heavy metal for an hour. And he said, Brent, if you don't like it, I'll never play it again. And I said, okay, I'll do it for an hour. And I fell in love.
Huh.
And of course, not everyone is going to love heavy metal, but that's what I want people to do. Just give it an hour or two. Give it a shot. You don't have to spend any money. You can go to my website, come to a free live webinar, watch my YouTube channel, whatever you like.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it a little shot. Just be willing to have your own experience of it. See if this works for you. And if it does, I would love to be your guide and teacher, because anyone that wants to, you can go spend 20 years and have horrible pain and disability and get cancer, go through a divorce, go bankrupt. If you want to learn this the hard way like I did. or come to my website and I'll spoon feed it to you for free.
Okay.
That they both work. One's just a lot easier than the other.
And of course, you got a lot of options as well, too, with the Formula for Miracles. You got parts 1, 2, and 3, especially with the experience, and maybe a bit more about the book as well, too. And what else can people know more about it?
Yeah, so the book is designed in 3 parts. Part 1 is basically the background of my story and how I get into this. Part 2 is all about the science, and that's the one here that I'm really excited about. I want everyone to know there is a science of miracles. There really is. And like any science, if we're willing to go do the experiments, you can have incredible success. That the state of energy healing, law of attraction, mind power in our world today is kind of like electricity was 500 years ago. That 500 years ago, people weren't stupid, right? They saw lightning bolts in a storm. They felt static electricity. They knew what electricity was, but they didn't know how it worked. So they saw it had effects. It wasn't until really the late 19th century we figured it out. Faraday, Maxwell, Edison, Tesla, etc. They figured it out. And now we put electricity to work and it runs our world, doesn't it? It runs the radio, the computer you're listening to this on, right? It could be running the car you're driving in. It powers your home. And that's where we're at with consciousness and energy healing. And I'm here to try to put a little science, a little process around it to show people this is something you can all learn. If you can learn to use your smartphone, you can absolutely learn to create miracles. It's actually much easier. All you got to do is be willing to give it a shot. Be willing to have your own experience and see what happens.
And of course, I guess a question people often ask is that do we need to meditate for 30 years, do a lot of fasting, maybe go live in a missionary or a monastery to become enlightened? Do you get questions like that?
Yeah, the answer is you can do that if you want, but it doesn't have to be that hard. That we can all learn to raise our consciousness exactly where you are now. And it doesn't matter if you're a high school student, a grad student, working parent, retired, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you are human. And every single one of us can learn to elevate our consciousness. How high you go, a lot depends on how good you want to be, right? If you want to be a musician, a professional guitar player, you better practice a lot, right? Because you're up against other people that are really practicing a lot. So if you want to be enlightened, it's going to take a lot of work. But you don't necessarily have to spend 30 years sweating in an ashram. I mean, you can, right? If that calls to you, great. But what we need right now is not more people sitting on mountaintops meditating. We need higher consciousness in the world. We need people of higher consciousness doing regular jobs, right? Plumbers, janitors, car repairmen, right? Cashiers, retail salespeople.
The frontline people, yes.
Yeah, bankers, CEOs, restaurant workers, everybody. And that's what I want everyone to know is no matter where you are, what your path in life is, you can integrate higher consciousness. And the dividends it will pay will be so vast that at some point you'll look back and you'll just kind of be a little scared of what your life might have been without this. I know that's how I feel.
And of course, you got a lot of great stuff as well, too. You got your books out, and where can people get your books? Where can people get all your programs, and how do people get a hold of you for coaching, enlightenment, or anything like that?
Sure. Easiest thing is just hop over to my website at awakeningdynamics.com. So you'll see, easy to get the books. You can check out my YouTube channel. I do a series of live webinars, and I think that's a great starting point for a lot of people. You just go to my website, awakeningdynamics.com. You'll see a big arrow that says Save My Seat. Just click on it, and we'll give you a free invitation to my next live Healathon webinar. And the Healathons are great because I get to spend a lot more time showing you the details of the Formula for Miracles. We'll go through all 7 steps of the Formula for Miracles, and we'll do a bunch of interactive processes so you can experience this for yourself. I'll show you how to check yourself for subconscious blocks. We'll do a clearing process. We'll do a clearing on radiation from your phone. And everybody that joins the Healathon can request a free healing from me at the end. So I think that's a no-brainer.
That certainly is amazing. And what's coming up for Brent Michael Phillips and more with the amazing book, The Formula for Miracles, also Waking Dynamics, and a lot more. We'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor, The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's You Have Missing, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the author of The Formula for Miracles, Brent Michael Phillips, after this timeout. We're back with the author of The Formula for Miracles, Brent Michael Phillips, here on the Mike Wagner Show. Brent, I got a lot of great information from you and learned a lot from you, and we all like to learn more. And what can you expect from you in 2022 and beyond, Brent?
Well, I think really, I look back on my journey through life and I see there were a couple really critical choice points. The most important probably being the day I decided to go see Terry. And my life could have unfolded in a totally different way had I not done that. And so I want everyone to know 2022 was one of those things that for the last couple of years, a lot of us have not had a lot of choice about what happens in our lives. People have lost jobs, lost businesses, been under lockdowns, had friends and family die of illness. I mean, all these things that are going on, right? Well, now we're coming to a place in 2022, you're getting your power back. And I want people to think very carefully about what you're going to do with your life, because the choices you make now will change everything down the road. And for those that are interested, I would love for you to check out my work, see if it resonates with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Check out a couple of my YouTube videos, come to the live healathon, right? No commitment, give it a chance to see if this resonates with you. And if it does, I would love to be your guide into higher consciousness. There's an old saying from the poet Rumi. Rumi said that a journey of 3 weeks will take over 100 years without a guide.
Wow.
And that's largely true. That if you don't know where you're going or the lay of the land, it's going to be a heck of a time getting to where you want to be. And I've spent so much of my life in the darkness flailing around that I don't want you listening to have to do that. That if you like my work, if you like my style, I would love to be your guide, show you some simple techniques and processes. You can start to change the direction of your life today. That little changes over time add up to big results.
Mm-hmm.
That yes, we see life-changing miracles sometimes, right? But not always. That it took me a couple years of work before I really saw a breakthrough with money. It took me years of work to get out of chronic pain. But I was able to do it because I made the choice to start. I showed up, I followed the directions, I did the work. And I'm so glad I did. And so if you want your life to keep being exactly the same as it's been, keep being the same way, right? That's fine. But if you'd like something different, you're going to have to try something different.
Mm-hmm. And that's certainly true as well, too. A lot of us will give a big shot at that. And besides, you talk about with Terry being your biggest influence. Who else do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Probably number one would be my late mentor, Carl. That it's a long story. I won't spend the time on now, but long story short, I had been a professional healer for 5 years when my life fell apart again.
Mm-hmm.
I went bankrupt. I was diagnosed with cancer. I mean, I go on and on with the drama. And I met Carl literally the day after I declared bankruptcy. And he was really my advanced teacher because he was indoctrinated into the ancient mystery schools. And he taught me the sort of secret stuff that's not out there, easy to find, about awakening and spirituality and what I call third generation consciousness. And I am both humbled and scared and proud that I'm the only person on the planet he ever gave permission to carry on and practice his work.
Wow.
And so it's a bit of a burden, but it's also an honor. And so I'm going to do the best I can to make it accessible to you. That if you come to me for training, I'm going to lead you through step by step all the 3 generations of consciousness. We'll start with basic stuff, right? Positive thinking, making goals, and quickly graduate into theta states, subconscious clearing, healings, intuition. And then past that is the spiritual awakening process. That's where you start to see energy and auras with your open eyes. That's when you start doing things like doubling, tripling your income in 6 months. And it's an incredible journey. And I just look back and it's almost scary to think about, what if I hadn't showed up, right? What if I had said, I don't really believe this is going to help me? It would have been very easy to skip out.
Mm-hmm. Right. And of course, we all understand that too. And I'm sure people would like to find out more information, take advantage. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
I would say realize that your success in life is not just about what you do, but who you are.
Mm-hmm.
We have to work with both, right?
Yes.
That it's, for example, when I was working with dating coaches, I just figured they'd tell me what clothes to wear and what bar to go to and what pickup line to use. It's not that simple. It's not about the clothes or the bar or the pickup line, right? It's about your energy, who you are. So we need to work on both. We all need coaching to figure out the best things to do to move our lives forward. And we need healing to address those inner issues. And if you can do both, it's an unstoppable combination. Whether your goal is to get out of pain, to make money, to find love, to find purpose, or even become enlightened, it's all the same stuff. It's all just pushing around energy inside of ourselves. And the good news is it's much easier to learn to work with energy than an electronic computer. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yes, that's true. And in fact, I hate to say this. If I try to figure out how to program a game, forget it.
Yeah. That it took me, no, probably 10, 15 years to get really good at programming computers.
Hmm.
For energy work, yeah, 3 to 6 months for most people.
Uh-huh.
That's all it takes. You can learn to master your energy in just a short amount of time.
Mm.
And again, don't believe it because I say it. Go have your own experience.
Mm-hmm.
Go give it a shot and see what happens. I think you'll be really glad you did.
We certainly will do so, and I think I'll do a video game one day too. So we'll do that. So we're here with
Awesome.
we're here with author Brent Michael Phillips of The Formula for Miracles, Part 2, The Experience here on the Mike Wagner Show. Brent, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing, very enlightened, and looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date, keep in touch. We'd love to have you back. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your books or check out your services?
Yeah, the easiest thing is just hop over to my website at awakeningdynamics.com. You'll see links on the front page for the e-commerce system if you want to buy books or programs. It's got a link to my YouTube channel, but probably most importantly, a link to the free Healathon live webinar. That's where I'm going to walk you through all 7 steps of the Formula for Miracles and do interactive exercises so you can experience this for yourself. Because this is new, this is real, and this really works. And if you're open to it, if you're open to letting some miracles into your life, just head over right now, awakeningdynamics.com. And I think it'll be one of the best decisions you ever made.
We certainly will do so. Once again, Brian, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing. Looking forward to having you again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'd love to have you back in 2022 and beyond. We'd like to wish you all the best. You've got a great future ahead of you. You've been totally amazing.
This has been awesome.